My name is Chris Gray. I'm a software design engineer at Microsoft in the Windows CE networking team. I'm responsible for our file server and our remote UI configuration tool, and that's what I'd like to show you today. How to build a lightweight NAS device that uses the remote UI for configuration of the shares and permissions.
Okay, so we're going to be building a network-attached storage device based on Windows CE version 5.
Right.
And what are we using for hardware?
The hardware is a ICOP eBot, is what they call it. It's a very small device that we just find very cool here. It's got USB on the front, it's got two USBs on the back, parallel, video, serial, audio, keyboard and mouse, and one Ethernet jack, 100 megabit Ethernet. One of the cool things about it is if you take it apart, you can actually mount a notebook hard drive, just a standard notebook hard drive in the device, and then use that for your storage. That's what we'll be using for the file server. I don't know if I mentioned, but it's got 128 megabytes of RAM, which is very handy for running lots of programs or for whatever, for caches and whatnot. But we'll be using that along with Platform Builder with Windows CE 5.0.
Okay, and talking of cache, I hear this board is fairly inexpensive.
Yeah, I believe it's under a few $100s. It's
about $180.
About $180. Yeah, it's pretty cheap. And it's really neat. It just looks very nice on your desk, you know, for a file server. It's kind of cool.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and configure an operating system image and then get this up running.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so let's go ahead and build our file server image. I've loaded Windows CE 5.0, the platform builder, and it's pretty simple to build one of these devices. I'm going to hit File, New Platform. So we'll bring up a dialog box that will help us build this image. Most of the features that we need we can actually configure directly in this wizard, and there are only a few small things that we have to do manually. So I'm going to click Next, and then it's going to ask for the name of the device. I'm going to call it Windows CE NAS, and click Next. All right, so now it's asking for the BSP. That's the package, the board support package for in our case, this ICOP device. If you had an emulator installed, that would show up here, or if you had any number of the other BSPs, they would show up here as well. But we want to do the ICOP, and I'm going to click Next. And since this is really truly a custom device, and we want it to be very small with just the features that we want, I'm going to choose Custom Device. This is pretty much the baseline for a headless device. It won't have many features until we add them. So I'm going to click Next. And I'm just going to click Next until I get to Communications, Services, and Networking, because we don't want any of this stuff. Here you go. So Communications, Services, and Networking. I'm going to choose a handful of features here. Under Networking Features, I'm going to choose Network Utilities. This includes things like ping and route and ipconfig. They're just utilities that I enjoy having, especially while I'm debugging the device. So scrolling down, I'm going to go to the wide area network. I'm sorry, the local area network, and choose this wired local area network. That's going to give me 802.3, the Ethernet, wired Ethernet support. Okay, now scrolling down, we go to servers. This is where we really install most of the things that we care the most about. I'll be installing the file server, and then also the file server customizable UI. This UI is a new feature for CE 5.0, and this is just our, like, I guess a sample, as I would put it. It's not a localized UI, but it does ship completely with source. You can edit it all you want, brand it, do whatever you'd like with it. And I enjoy having a time server, so I'm going to choose the SNTP server here, and that will put a service on that will automatically query the internet for the time and set our time based on that. So that's it. I'm just going to hit Finish. And Platform Builder will prompt us for security warnings, things that it thinks that we need to be aware of. And one of those things is that the file server can be, it can pose a risk because we are sharing our file system out. Later on in this demo, I'll walk you through how to use the UI to guarantee that the security is safe, how to give the device a name, how to give it a password, how to share only the folders you want, and how to share and how to set the server up so that it only shares files on the adapter that you want it to share out on. So I'm going to click Next. That's the only warning that it gives us, and so I'm going to click Finish. Okay, so now that Platform Builder has set up the image, we need to do just a few things. One thing we want to do is install a feature that we include. It's a sample. So I'm going to go to Tools, Options, and then, where am I going to go? Not Tools, Options. Where do you rewind that? Yeah. Where is it? It's under Platform Settings. There's a command line. Yeah. So where should we go back to?
You just carry on.
Okay.
So what we go to?
Okay. So we're going to add one more feature under Platform Settings, and then Environment. So what we'll be doing is adding one environment variable, and that one's called Sysgen Discover Service. We'll set it to 1 and click OK. What that will do is bring in a component that we wrote that uses UPnP to broadcast the presence of this device onto the network. Later on, when we walk through the UI, I'll show you a tool that will listen for that broadcast and allow you to configure the device based on it. Okay, so now I click OK. There are a couple little registry settings I need to set. The way you do that is I'm going to go to Parameter View. I'm going to go to, this is our project, the parameters. And then I want to do this under here, under project specific files. So under project.reg. I'm going to go to the very bottom of this file and paste 2 values. What these 2 values are, these will represent the amount of time that is required to restart the web server when a password has been set. I'll show you this later. There'll be a piece of UI that will have some stars. It'll be a line of stars that will shrink, and the number of stars will represent the number of seconds that the device takes to restart. So I'm setting HTTP restart time client to 8 seconds. What that means is when the Internet Explorer, your web browser, changes the password and the web server needs to be restarted, it will wait 8 seconds before the page is refreshed. Then on the server side, I'm going to set HTTP restart time to 4, which means after the last page is served, in 4 seconds, start the reboot, or the HTTP restart. And these values I think are defaulted at about 30 seconds, which is just too long for this device. You can shrink these numbers down and generate a better experience. Okay, so that's it. The device is configured. We've added. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not configured. We need a couple more things that were not in the wizard. One of those is a TAPI. That will be that's the driver that will enable us to have a hard drive support. So I'm going to go to Catalog and Find and type a TAPI, and then it will find that very quickly for us. And so I just need this, enlarge it. I need the a TAPI PCA ID storage block. There. I'm just going to drag it over. Oops. Let me go back to my OS design view. I'll drag it over. Oh, I got to grab the right one there. My bad. And I need to include the FAT file system. Here. So I did a search again for FAT, found it here, and then I'm going to include that in my image as well. All right. That should be it. So at this point we should have a TAPI, we should have FAT, that will give us the hard drive support. We'll have SMB file server and the SMB UI, that will give us the ability to share files on the network, and we'll have the time server so that our clocks are set correctly. And that's it. All we have to do now is go to Build OS, Sysgen. Now this process takes a few minutes to complete, and when it's completed we'll have an image that we'll download. now I'd like to show you downloading the image and then configuring the device. So I've got the I've got the ICOP to boot DOS and use eBoot to broadcast its presence to Platform Builder. And so Platform Builder is already configured with the device. I've got it called ICOP2. It's my other ICOP. And I'm going to hit Target Attach Device. And this will download the image that we just created. If you notice, that went pretty quickly. The ICOP has a very fast Ethernet adapter. And the image is very small. It's about 2.7 megabytes for everything. That's including the web pages, the configuration, the web server, the file server, and everything that we put into the image. I'm going to move this window just so we can get a better idea of what's going on and enlarge it. Because it's a retail build, we're not going to get a lot of debug output. But what we will see is whenever a DLL is loaded, at this point we know that we're loaded. For discovery, we've used the universal plug-and-play. It's a network protocol that can be used to discover two devices, so that two devices can discover one another. And the problem we're solving here is that this device doesn't have a name yet. So there's nothing I can use Internet Explorer to say HTTP server, because we haven't configured the name. What this, I guess, solves is, say you're making thousands of these devices and they're coming off a factory floor. Everyone's identical, and you want that because you don't want to have to configure every device specially at the end of the production step. So we wrote a tool I'd like to show you now. This is just a sample little utility that we wrote using C#. Included along with this video will be the source code for this. Feel free to do whatever you want with it. Its only purpose in life is to discover file servers. So when I click Discover, it will start listening for UPnP broadcasts that are coming from this ICOP. The ICOP's going to say, hey, I'm a Windows CE NAS device, and it's the responsibility of this program to listen for that. So if you can see here that the device is shown up. If I click on it, I can actually click our Configure button, which will load what they call a presentation page. The presentation page is just a HTML document that can be used to configure it. Now, if you notice here, the IP address is a 192.168.2.125. This was issued by the DHCP server, and there's no name. It's not chgrayNAS or Windows CE device. It's an IP address, and that's what we've solved here. Is that initial bootstrap problem of how do you discover an unnamed device? So with this tool, we'll now configure passwords. We'll also give it a name, so that way the next time we don't have to use this tool. We'll have a name that's unique that we assigned. So I'm going to type in test for my password and click apply. What the device is doing now is restarting the web server. The web server out of the box ships unsecure in this case, but we want to have a password. We want it to be have good security. So by giving it the password, we tell the web server, hey, we want secure connections, and that's what it's doing for us now. So you'll see when the page refreshes, it asks for a username and password. So I'll type in admin as our user, and test is our password. Okay, now we get to work around the UPnP discovery tool and give our device a unique name. I'm going to call it chgrayNAS for network attached storage. So from now on, this device on the network is called chgrayNAS. So if I go to HTTP chgrayNAS, that will be my device. So at this point, the web server is configured, it's secure, it's given a name, but our file server is not turned on. There'll be 3 steps involved to turning the file server on. The first is to open to open a folder up as a share. The second will be to give permissions to that share, to the admin user or to any other user that we create. And the third requirement will be to turn on the file server on a particular network adapter. So this is a feature of our file server that will let you secure a device if it has more than one network card. So for example, if you have a public network adapter that's on, let's say, the internet, and a private one that's in your home, you can only say, I only want the file server to be on the private adapter. Let's go create that share. I'm going to click Add Delete Share. And then here you'll see a list of folders that we can share. In our case, since we want to show the 30 gigabyte hard drive, and its name is hard disk, we'll do that here. I'm going to call it root, and then I'm going to click Add. At this point, our share is created, but no one will have access to it because we haven't given anyone access to it. So I'm going to click Permissions, and then here you'll see a list. Root's the share, and then admin is the only user we have at this point. We can create more, but for this demo, we'll just use the admin user. Click Allow, and then Update. Okay, great. So now the share is created. It has permissions, but the server isn't turned on any particular adapter. It's there and listening, but it's just not listening to anyone. So what we need to do is go to Device Management. You'll see that a little tab drops down, and we'll choose Add Delete Network Adapter. Here, it'll give us a list of all the different adapters and then their IP address. So since we know that there's only one adapter, I'll just go ahead and choose it. But if you had more than one, you could be a little selective as to which adapters you want. Okay, great. So at this point, the file server is configured and ready to go. All we need to do is access it. So using standard Windows UI, we'll go to Start, Run, and then since I know the share and the name, remember it's chgraynas, I'm going to go //chgraynas/root, return. Now you'll notice that a dialog box comes up asking for credentials. This is exactly what we want. We don't want our files available to just anyone. So I'm going to type in admin, and then again the password is test. And I'm going to say OK. Okay, so now I'm sure everyone's familiar with standard Windows Explorer, where you have files and sizes and the types and everything like that. So now I want to copy some pictures over that I've created. Here's the folder. I'm just going to drop it over. And then, I'm sorry, it asked, I guess some files are in there or encrypted. So the folder's here. I'm going to double click on it. And then there you go. These are the files with thumbnails of some of my friends on the team. And it'll load these directly. If I double click on my friend Corey, it'll just load the file using just standard Windows, and I could edit the file or do whatever here. It's just a regular file share.
And these are people on the team?
These are people on the team. This is my friend Julian and our friend Shri. And this is Adam's parking job.
Great. Okay, but I noticed you also had a folder on the hard drive already, which is called Music.
Right. So this is a hard drive I had laying around. I didn't go really buy any hardware for this. So if I go to Music folder, there are a lot of files in here. I've got like all my music. So if I double click on it, it takes a little bit to load. But you'll see that the folders are loading here with thumbnails. So it's just a standard Windows experience. Yeah, exactly. So XP has no idea that it's talking to CE or XP. It doesn't know what it's talking to. It's just a remote file share. But yeah, you get all your album art and the photos.
Okay, so we've seen how to configure, build, download, and run the network attached storage device. This has got a 30 gig hard drive in it. So roughly how many albums or songs can I drop down onto that?
So that's 30,000, or sorry, 30 gigabytes, so 30,000 megabytes, and depending on your compression and whatnot, it's about 1 megabyte per song, or sorry, 1 megabyte per minute, so on the order of 30,000 minutes of music.
Well, that's pretty impressive, considering the size of the box that the e-box sits in. So I could just have this sat in my home somewhere next to my hi-fi rack or next to my TV, and have all the music that I own stored on that one device.
Right, and this is actually a small hard drive. That you can get them much larger than that now, and it's a notebook hard drive. So if you were to buy a desktop hard drive, we can support up to 120 gigabytes on one folder. So
okay, that's great. So I think that's pretty impressive. So is there anything else that you want to tell us about Windows CE networking or NAS before we sign off?
Windows CE networking rules. That's all.
Great. And I think we can tell that you work in the networking team just by taking a quick look at the inside of your office here.
No comment.
Great. Thanks, Chris.